All right, good afternoon, traders. Today is April 15th, 2026. My name, Coach Carignan. I'm the lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you for being here with us today. Thank you to all the members. Thank you for your subscriptions. I don't take that for granted. Try to provide actionable, profitable content every day. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody out there, Podcast Land, Digital Land, Cyberland. Thank you for liking, leaving kind comments, following and subscribing to my content. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. Big shout out to everybody that shares the content. Bob Jordan, John Jordan, Kathy, Sarah Roasted, Rick Sadler, Ed Carter, everybody. Thank you so much for sharing the BYOB content. Helps get the good word out there to the World Wide Web so that they can grow their wealth. Thank you. All right. Got an announcement tomorrow. We're going to have members e-learning in the Thursday, okay, at noon. Starts off with Doug, then myself, and then Rick. It's going to be topics, going to be trend, momentum, and volatility. So we'll see you tomorrow. If you don't see me here in the room, that's where I will be, in the combo room. If you want to know how to get to the combo room, all right, you'd simply come up here to your member page. All right, and instead of logging in, you can log into both rooms at the same time, by the way. You just log in where it says log into BYOB Trading Room, or you can just log into the combo room. You can be open in two rooms at the same time. All right, but I probably won't be in the BYOB room at noon. All right, I'll be there to listen and take in everything that I can learn while I'm there. All right, so that happens tomorrow. All right, at noon. All right, let's take a look at the markets. First, let's take a look at, let's do this. Let's move this over. And let's squeeze this down. And let's look at what we had for guidance this morning. All right, let's talk about the guidance. So we observed bullish consolidation in the pre-market, post-market. So that's a bullish environment. I said I plan to trade a breakup or a breakdown. It could go either way because we had a lot of bearish divergence, and we still do, and retest the consolidation range. So I'm looking for a breakout and a pull back and then a rip higher. All right. So if we look at the price action with the pre-market, okay, here's the pre-market range. If you remember my lines right here, there's a breakout, a pullback, retest, and then we had a rip right here. Okay, so we ripped up, we started grinding right up against the call wall, and it took us about probably 2 or 3 hours to break through the call wall and then finally make our way up towards 700. New all-time high for SPY, by the way. That's going to be bullish and in an uptrend. All right, anytime one of these products makes a new all-time high, it's hard to do it without being bullish and in an uptrend. All right, so there's SPY on the 5-minute chart. There's the breakout, the pullback. That's the retest right there. Breakout, retest, and then back up higher. Right there was your clue to buy calls. And if you were in the room, I don't know if I announced it, but I did buy calls, and that was my test. So I went up, bought calls to go up higher. All right, so I think I announced it verbally in the room anyways. All right, so there's SPY. Got a 10-minute uptrend. Not much of a 10-minute uptrend because it's kind of scrunched off. And that's mainly due to that bearish divergence and the call wall just overhead. All right, so I wouldn't doubt if we see a pullback overnight or maybe sometime tomorrow or the next day. We'll see. All right, they don't have to, but we'll see. All right, so there's SPY on the 10-minute. Had a beautiful 10-minute uptrend right here. I'm not going to call it beautiful. I'm going to redefine that. We had a 10-minute uptrend. If you look at the space between the 3 and the 8, it's filled with candle bodies, candle tails, sometimes candle wicks right through here. Even had a little pullback right here, and then they resumed it right up there, and then you can see it starting to separate right over there. So let's look at the PPO on the 10-minute chart through that time period. So you can see right here we were all through this, we were not even over 5 right there. It wasn't until we got into this area right here that we got up into the 6, all right, with a little momentum. But then you can see it start to taper off here, all right, giving you clues that, maybe the pullback is imminent. We'll see what happens, all right. But there's 10-minute uptrend into the close, as you can see right there. I'm going to call it bullish consolidation, but there is a little bit of daylight between the 3 and the 8 there. It's enough to call it a 10-minute uptrend into the close. Let's take a look at the 2-hour chart. You've got daylight between the 3 EMA and the 8 EMA. You've got the sticks and the 3 EMA plotting up over the rising 8. Okay, so that's and then you got daylight between the 3 and the 8 at the end of the day. So you got yourself a 2-hour uptrend at the end of the day. Daily chart, of course, it's a brand new all-time high. Okay, doesn't get any better than this. Okay, drop the mic. All right, new all-time high. So that's bullish and in an uptrend. I mean, do I really? Right there. There's the origin of our rally. April, we go up, have a pullback to the, see right there, about the 33% pullback line, and then we rip up. All right there, make a new all-time high. All right, so I don't know where it goes from here because, let me just explain, they came from a distance away. All right, so I don't know how much more juice they have in there. They're going to probably need to rest, so I wouldn't doubt it if they form a consolidation band right on top of prior consolidation, and that would be a bullish environment. We'll see what happens. They may pull back. I don't know if they pull back. They may just move to the right. We'll find out soon. All right, so there's SPY on the daily chart, obviously bullish and in an uptrend. Weekly candle. Again, here's the April origin of the move. Up, over. We were in a downtrend. We made a higher high today. So weekly candle is now, weekly chart is now in an uptrend. So weekly, bullish and in an uptrend. Monthly chart. Monthly has been in an uptrend for a long time now. Okay, we haven't made any lower lows in a long time. Okay, this is the last time. See the low here, that the monthly chart made a lower low was back in, well, that would be COVID 2020 right there. That was the last time the monthly chart actually made a lower low right there. All right, so there's SPY on the monthly chart. We are bullish, still bullish, and in an uptrend. Let's take a look at QQQ. We're going to start back here on the 10. Okay, you've got a nice 10-minute uptrend. Crossover, pull back to VWAP. Capture some spinach. Open up a can. Consume it, and then rip higher. Okay, so price action for QQQ. 10-minute uptrend coming into the close. You can see the sticks and the 3 plotting over the rising 8. You've got the picture of money. Whenever you see the 8 EMA and the VWAP, and the distance between the two of them get bigger. All right, that is the picture of easy money. As long as your PPO is up over 0.06, and you can see they had no problem getting the PPO up over 0.06. SPY, not so much. Technology, look at that. They were up over 0.06 most all the day. All right, so there's QQQ on the 10-minute. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I'll bet the 2-hour is in an uptrend as well. It's not a hard guess on that one. You've got the sticks and the 3 plotting over the rising 8. You've got daylight between the 3 EMA and the 8 EMA. We're up here at the top of the quad lines. Okay, so it looks like we made, can't tell yet. Okay, so right here, the high is 637.01. $637.54, so new all-time high. Okay, so new all-time high for QQQ. You can see there, 2-hour uptrend coming into the close. Daily candle uptrend. and bullish and in an uptrend, making a new all-time high. Yeah, new all-time high for QQQ on the daily chart. So that's bullish and in an uptrend on QQQ daily. All right, weekly chart is new all-time high, of course. That's bullish and in an uptrend. Monthly chart, new all-time high, of course, bullish and in an uptrend. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. And here's Diamond Dow. And we are on the daily chart. Diamond Dow's got a lot higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap, over the hooking 17 EMA, over the all-time high anchored VWAP. That is still in a dysfunctional downtrend. All right, we have not made a higher high yet on Diamond Dow. And you can see we're in the middle of quadrant 4. I'll zoom out. Here's the origin of our rally back here in April. We go up. There's the all-time high. All right, we're in the middle of quadrant 4, so we're bullish, but we're still in that dysfunctional downtrend in that we have not made higher highs yet. Okay, so there's Diamond Dow on the daily chart, dysfunctional downtrend, but bullish. All right, let's take a look at FNGU. FNGU. All right, we're going to move this out of the way. Higher low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap. Closing over the midpoint, closing over the all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, we're in the middle of the quad lines. This is the all-time low. This is the all-time high. We're not in the upper third. We're not in the lower third. All right, so we're neutral, and we got a high here. We made a higher high. We're neutral and in an uptrend. Okay, closing over the all-time high anchored VWAP, closing over the midpoint. Nice rip rally for FNGU. Let's take a look at IWM. Did I do IWM yet? IWM is it's a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the all-time high anchored VWAP. There's a high there. We made higher highs. We're in an uptrend. So we're bullish and in an uptrend on IWM on the daily chart. Okay, so bullish and in an uptrend on IWM. Let's take a look at silver and gold. Someone just said something. I don't know if they meant anything. That's Ed. And friendly reminder. Yeah. Okay. Silver. All right. Going to push this up. Silver got a higher high and a higher low. They closed over a bullish trap. They closed over the 17 EMA. They closed under the all-time high anchored VWAP. They closed over the midpoint. Okay. So they're still neutral. Not in the upper third. Not in the lower third. They're just still neutral. They are neutral but in an uptrend. There's a high. They made a higher high, and then they turn around and made another higher high. So they're neutral and in an uptrend on silver daily chart. Okay, let's take a look at GLD. GLD is an inside day, higher low, lower high, closing over a bullish trap, over the flat 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP. I'm going to pan way out so you can see the origin of this all-time high up here. Starts back here in 2022. This is gold. That is the all-time high. And you can see price action up here under the all-time high anchored VWAP. Obviously in the bottom of quadrant 4, that's going to be bullish. And you can see the series of highs and then higher high and then another higher high, just like silver. So that's bullish and in an uptrend for gold. Okay, let's take a look at USO. Okay, USO trying to rebalance here. Lower high, lower low, closing under a bearish trap, closing under the flat 17, closing in the top, in the bottom of quadrant 4, closing over the 4-year high anchored VWAP. That's this pink line right here. Okay, so we're bullish because we're in the upper third. All right, we still have not made any lower lows. So we're still in an uptrend. And we're still bullish because we're in the bottom of quadrant 4. That's USO on the daily chart. All right, let's take a look at UNG. All right, UNG, another inside day, just like USO or just like GLD. That's a lower high and a higher low. We closed under a bearish trap, under the falling 17, under the 12-month high anchored VWAP. This is the all-time low. Okay, that's a 1-year high right there. We're in the bottom of quadrant 1. We have a low. We're making lower lows, so we're in a downtrend. So that's bearish and in a downtrend on UNG. Let's take a look at our technicals. And we'll start off down here. Technicals, we start off with participation. All right, so participation increased and we lost some momentum right there. See that? Not as many people wanted to get in on that rally going up. They were not, I guess they were looking for that bearish divergence. So we lost some of the participation as the market rallied to new all-time highs right there. So it's kind of a bearish clue, if you ask me. Still up there, but that's still kind of a bearish clue that possibly the days to come could see a pullback either tomorrow or tonight. Okay, so there's T2101, T2122. Well, we camped out in the overbought zone all day today, and nothing says we can't do the same thing tomorrow, okay? Just because we have bearish divergence does not mean we have to make that correction today or tomorrow or tonight or tomorrow, okay? So in the overbought zone, that's a bullish clue up there. T2123, obviously bullish gap up, not filled by the bears, new highs, all right, from the pullback low, all right? We're up over the 200 SMA, that's bullish. If I put the quad lines on there, okay, from the pullback low, we're at the top of quadrant 4, it's bullish and in an uptrend, okay? If I pull it all the way back here, we're still neutral and in an uptrend, okay? Either way, we're still up over the 200 SMA. That's where you want to be if you're going to be a bull. All right, that's T2123. Let's look at the 3-bar chart. We're in the middle of quadrant 4, so that's bullish. Not quite in an uptrend yet. We have not made higher highs, all right? We have to take out the all-time high. We are up over the rising 200 SMA. That's a bullish place to be if you want to be a bull. That's where you want the price. So that's looking good. T21, 23, 3-bar chart. I want to show you the origin of the rally. Starts back here in April. We run up and we make a new all-time high. That occurred in 2025. Had a pullback to make a higher low. And then we ripped and made another new all-time high in 2026. Pulled back, made another higher high. I don't know if they got it in them to make another new all-time high. We'll see what happens here, okay? Right now, it's looking good, but they're coming from a distance. I would prefer if they consolidated over the 200 and then make a run at it from a higher location. Coming from a distance from here, sometimes you get that failure when you come from a distance, okay? So we'll see what happens. There's T2123, 3-bar chart, okay? Again, we're bullish because we're up here in the middle of quadrant 4, but we're still in that dysfunctional downtrend, and that price is not moving down. It's actually melting up or moving to the right, okay? So until they make a higher high, we're still in that dysfunctional downtrend. That's T2123. Okay, FNGU, bullish gap up. All right, not filled by the bears. They're showing you who's in control, the bulls. Anytime you see bullish gap up, they're not filling that gap by noon. All right, you know the bulls are in charge. Look for that end of day rally if you can find one. All right, so FNGU, 15-minute chart. There's a high, new higher high. That's an uptrend. That's bullish. We're up on top of the hooking 200 SMA. That's bullish. We're up on top of the pink line. That's the all-time high anchored VWAP. From the pullback low to where we are now, we're up in quadrant 4. All right, that's bullish and an uptrend there. But let's use all of the time that we have here and see what we come up with if we use all of this. Okay, that puts us up here in quadrant 4 still. So that makes us bullish and in an uptrend on the 15-minute chart. Okay, on the daily chart, I think we're just neutral and in an uptrend. All right, I'll take questions in the room. If you want to know what I traded today, again, I'll go over it one more time. The guidance was right here. I'm looking for we had a bullish environment. We had consolidation in the pre-market and in the post-market from the day before. So we had, in other words, price action came up here and it planked. All right, it planked. Let's take a look at SPY. Okay, so it came up here, 10-minute chart, 10-minute chart. So you can see price came up here and it just planked to the right. Notice, see, it didn't give up any ground. Okay, it just planked. In other words, it came up and held the higher ground. That takes an incredible amount of strength right there to do that. So that was bullish. So I labeled it as bullish environment because of what they were doing, and I could see that. Okay, I plan to trade a break up or a break down. We had bearish divergence. It could have gone either way. All right, because of the bearish divergence. They had a breakout. If we look at it on the 3-minute chart, you don't see it too well on the 10-minute, but you can see the breakout right here. Okay, over the consolidation from the nighttime and the morning time. See, this would be all of this represents the consolidation that we had in the morning and night right there. See all of this? This is the shaded section. That's all of the price action. So we break out, we come back. That right there, that's the retest. Out, back, test, and then rip. All right, so there you go. There's our breakout and retest. Trade the uptrend over VWAP as long as it stays over VWAP right there. So that's what we traded right on up to. Yeah. New all-time highs up there. All right. Oh, it did move. Let me see. Tex is sharing something, and I want to see this. I've been waiting to see it. And I want to see if the call wall moved or the put wall moved. It's still at the same spot. Still at the same spot. All right, so that's what we traded today. All right, so the products that were traded were right here. Mostly all calls, okay? Or put spreads or calls. Okay, so bought calls at the beginning of the day. So here's some calls. Okay, you can see bought at the beginning of the day, sold into strength. These are puts, so I'm selling puts. So I'm selling them high and covering low. All right, same thing here. Selling high, covering low. Same thing here. Selling high, covering low. Okay, because they were put spreads. Calls. Okay, so I'm buying low, selling high. You can see how I buy the bottoms of almost all of these option candles and sell into strength right there. Okay, this one I took a hit on right here. Tried to buy low and sell high, and it didn't quite work out for me. All right, this one I captured right there, 188. Buy low, sell into strength. This one was a spread, so it's part of this one right here. Okay, these two work together. Buy low, sell high, captured 188. I sold the 710s 90T short, and I lost 156, but I took the difference as captured gains right there between the two. Calls 310. Somehow I think I'm missing one here. Something went wrong. Anyways, 310, buy low, sell high. And another one, buy low and sell into strength. I already had some of those right there. So that's it. I'll take questions in the room. If not, we'll go ahead and call it a day. All right, traders, thank you. Everybody have a wonderful afternoon. I'm looking forward to the